They lied to you, they broke your trust, and somehow, they still live inside your mind rent-free. That's the part nobody talks about. People assume betrayal should create hatred, distance, closure. But sometimes betrayal creates obsession, not because you still love them, but because your mind cannot accept how someone who once felt safe became the source of your deepest wound. And maybe that's why you still think about them at 2 a.m. Why random memories still hit you in silence. Why your chest tightens when their name appears unexpectedly. Why a part of you still replays conversations that ended months or years ago. Because betrayal doesn't just break the heart, it fractures reality. The person you trusted existed in your mind as something permanent, loyal, real, familiar, and when they betrayed you, your brain didn't only lose a person, it lost an identity, a future, a version of reality you emotionally invested in. Carl Jung once said, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul." And sometimes, the reason you cannot stop thinking about the people who hurt you is because they awakened parts of yourself you never knew existed. Your insecurity, your fear of abandonment, your need for validation, your hidden loneliness. The betrayal became more than an event. It became a mirror. And tonight, we're going to talk about the disturbing psychological reason your mind keeps returning to people who destroyed your peace. Because once you understand this truth, you will never look at heartbreak, betrayal, or attachment the same way again. Part 1. Your mind is addicted to unfinished emotions. The reason you cannot stop thinking about them may have nothing to do with love, and everything to do with psychological incompletion. Human beings are deeply uncomfortable with unfinished stories. That's why unresolved betrayal feels heavier than death sometimes. Death gives certainty, betrayal leaves questions, and questions are dangerous because the mind hates emptiness. You keep replaying the memories not because your soul wants them back, but because your brain is desperately trying to solve what happened. How could they say they loved me and still hurt me? Was any of it real? What did I miss? Why wasn't I enough? These questions become emotional loops. Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik effect, the tendency for unfinished emotional experiences to remain active in the mind. Your brain keeps reopening the memory because it believes closure is hidden somewhere inside it. That's why betrayal creates obsession. Not obsession with the person, but obsession with understanding. You don't miss only them. You miss certainty. You miss emotional safety. You miss the version of yourself that existed before the betrayal happened. And the worst part? Sometimes the betrayer moves on peacefully while your mind remains trapped in analysis, not because they were stronger, but because the wounded person is usually the one left carrying the unanswered emotions. It's like being emotionally stabbed and then being told to continue living normally. But here's the truth. Nobody tells you. Closure rarely comes from understanding the betrayer. It comes from understanding yourself, because eventually you realize something terrifying. You were searching for logic in someone who acted from selfishness, fear, insecurity, or emotional emptiness. And trying to fully understand emotionally immature people can become a lifelong prison. The ancient Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts, and betrayal stains the mind because pain keeps forcing your thoughts back toward the wound. But wounds heal differently than memories. Memories heal when you stop treating the past like a mystery you must solve." Sometimes betrayal has no deeper explanation. Some people simply lack the emotional depth to protect what they were given, and the moment you stop asking, "Why did they betray me?" and start asking, "Why am I abandoning myself by reliving this every day?" your healing truly begins. Part 2. Betrayal doesn't just break your heart. It shatters your identity. The deepest pain of betrayal is not losing them. It's losing the version of yourself that existed when you trusted them. Before betrayal, you move through life differently. You laugh easier. You trust naturally. You don't analyze every word, every silence, every delay in response. Your nervous system feels safe enough to relax. But after betrayal, something changes, and most people cannot explain it. Because betrayal is not only emotional pain, it is psychological disorientation. The person who hurt you didn't just damage your feelings, they damaged your perception of reality. Think about it. The same person who once comforted you became the source of your suffering. The same voice that once made you feel safe suddenly became associated with anxiety, confusion, and emotional instability. That contradiction creates internal chaos. Your brain struggles to hold two opposite truths at once. They loved me, they destroyed me. And when the mind cannot reconcile those realities, it begins questioning everything. Was I stupid? Can I trust my judgment? Was I blind the entire time? If I couldn't see this coming, who can I trust now? This is why betrayal changes personality. Some people become emotionally distant. Some become hyper-independent. Some stop believing in love entirely, and others become addicted to reassurance because betrayal created a constant fear of abandonment. Carl Jung believed that painful experiences force us to confront the hidden parts of ourselves, what he called the shadow, and betrayal drags the shadow into the light. Suddenly, you meet parts of yourself you never noticed before: your jealousy, your insecurity, your fear of not being enough, your desperate need to feel chosen. That's why betrayal feels humiliating sometimes. Not because someone left, but because the experience exposed emotional wounds you thought were buried, and this is where many people become trapped. Instead of healing, they start building armor. They stop opening up. They stop trusting. They become emotionally cold and call it strength. But pain that is buried alive does not disappear. It waits. Nietzsche once wrote, "Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster." And betrayal has a terrifying way of turning wounded people into emotionally unavailable versions of themselves. The betrayed become betrayers. The abandoned become emotionally distant. The lied to become controlling. Because unresolved pain always tries to protect itself. But true healing begins when you understand this. You are not weak because betrayal changed you. You are human. A broken bone heals differently after fracture, and the human soul is no different. The goal is not to become the person you were before betrayal. That version of you is gone. The goal is to become someone wiser without becoming colder, someone deeper without becoming bitter, someone who can still love without losing themselves in the process. And maybe the real tragedy was never that they betrayed you. Maybe the real tragedy would be allowing their betrayal to permanently disconnect you from your own humanity. Part 3. Why your mind misses toxic people more than healthy ones. Sometimes the people who hurt you the most become the hardest to forget. Because your nervous system confused emotional chaos with love. This is one of the darkest truths about human psychology. Healthy love often feels calm, predictable, safe, stable, but toxic attachment feels intense, and the human brain is dangerously vulnerable to intensity. That's why some people become addicted to relationships that destroy them. Not because suffering feels good, but because emotional inconsistency creates psychological dependency. One day they make you feel special. The next day they become distant. One moment they shower you with affection. The next moment they disappear emotionally. And without realizing it, your brain becomes trapped in a cycle of reward and withdrawal. Psychologists compare this to gambling addiction. A slot machine does not addict people because it rewards them every time. It addicts them because the reward is unpredictable. And toxic people operate the same way. Your mind keeps chasing the emotional high of being loved again by someone who also caused the emotional pain. This creates what trauma experts call a trauma bond, a connection strengthened not by peace, but by emotional survival. That's why leaving toxic people can feel like withdrawal. Your body literally learned to emotionally depend on unpredictability. So after betrayal, silence feels unbearable, calmness feels empty. Healthy people even feel boring sometimes, because chaos conditioned your nervous system. And this is why you still think about them. Not necessarily because they were your soulmate, but because they emotionally programmed your mind through inconsistency. The frightening part is this. Many people mistake emotional intensity for deep connection, but intensity is not intimacy. Possession is not love. Obsession is not love. Emotional dependence is not love. Real love does not constantly confuse your nervous system. Buddha taught that attachment is the root of suffering, and betrayal exposes how attached we become not only to people, but to emotional patterns. Sometimes you were addicted to who you became around them, the chasing, the waiting, the hoping, the need to finally feel chosen, and the mind keeps replaying the relationship because part of you still wants to win the love that was inconsistent. But here's the revelation that changes everything. The person who betrayed you was never holding your worth. They were holding your attention, and attention is powerful. Whatever you repeatedly think about begins shaping your emotional reality. That is why healing requires more than distance. It requires reclaiming your mental energy. Every moment spent obsessing over someone who broke you is a moment your own future remains emotionally unfed, and eventually you reach a painful but freeing realization. You were not missing the person. You were missing the emotional fantasy your mind attached to them. The potential, the imagined future, the version of them that existed in your hopes more than in reality. And once that illusion dies, you finally begin seeing them clearly. Not as a soulmate, not as a villain, just as a deeply flawed human being who could not give you the emotional safety you kept begging for. Part 4. The betrayal that broke you may actually be rebuilding you. Sometimes the most painful endings in your life are not punishments. They are awakenings disguised as loss. There is a moment after every deep betrayal where silence finally arrives. Not the dramatic kind. Not tears. Not rage. Just exhaustion. The kind of exhaustion that comes from carrying grief for too long. From replaying memories until they lose color. From asking questions that will never receive honest answers. And strangely, that moment becomes the beginning. Because eventually suffering forces a human being to see clearly. You start noticing things you ignored before. How often you abandoned yourself to keep someone else comfortable. How many red flags you called potential. How much of your self-worth depended on being chosen by someone emotionally unavailable. And for the first time, you stop romanticizing the betrayal. You begin understanding it, not as proof that you were unlovable, but as proof that you were trying to receive deep emotional security from someone who had never truly found peace within themselves. That realization changes everything. Because healing begins the moment you stop taking another person's inability to love properly as evidence of your worth. Lao Tzu once said, "Care about people's approval, and you will always be their prisoner." And betrayal often reveals how imprisoned we become by the need to feel valued by certain people. We beg for closure. We crave apologies. We secretly hope they regret losing us. But true freedom arrives when their validation no longer determines your peace. And that is the transformation betrayal can create. Not immediate strength, not fake positivity, but awareness. A painful awareness that teaches you who deserves access to your heart, who only loved your presence when it benefited them, and how dangerous it is to ignore your intuition just because you fear loneliness, because loneliness has a strange power. It convinces people to remain loyal to relationships that are destroying them internally. But solitude can heal what toxic attachment damages. In solitude, you meet yourself again, not the anxious version chasing reassurance, not the wounded version begging for clarity, but the quieter self underneath the pain. The self that existed before betrayal taught you to doubt your value, and maybe that is why some heartbreaks change people forever, not because they destroy innocence, but because they force self-awareness. The old version of you believed love alone was enough. The new version understands something deeper. Love without honesty becomes manipulation. Love without respect becomes suffering. Love without emotional safety becomes psychological warfare. And perhaps the greatest revenge is not becoming cold. It is becoming conscious. Conscious enough to stop confusing attention with love. Conscious enough to walk away from inconsistency. Conscious enough to choose peace over emotional addiction. One day, you will think about them without pain. Not because what happened stopped mattering, but because you finally stopped making your wound your identity. And when that day comes, you will understand something shocking. The betrayal that once shattered your world was also the event that forced you to finally return to yourself. So if someone betrayed you and they still live in your mind, do not ask only why they hurt you. Ask what the experience is trying to teach you about yourself. Because some people enter your life to love you, and others enter your life to awaken you. And sometimes, The awakening hurts far more than the goodbye.